oh, let's talk about the X's and O's. Let's do analytical. Let's be analytical. Be analytical. Mitchell Robinson played it differently. Horford set the screen later. Wait.
I'm listening to you. I'm pulling up the play. I want to.
Mazzulla himself said,
and I'm going to send you the link so we can watch both these plays in real time and really do a breakdown.
Mazzulla himself said that the screen wasn't as effective because he didn't. Horford didn't set the screen as high, right? Not only that, Mitchell Robinson didn't allow Tatum to go and get that dunk this time, right? He stood his ground and forced him left. So now Tatum is going left. Time is running out. He's dribbling away from the basket. He takes a fadeaway. He gets scared, tries to pass to somebody else. Mikal knows that at the very least, if I go to Tatum, Brown is not even going to have enough time to shoot the ball. So if he didn't shoot the ball, he's going to pass to me. I'm going to deflect the ball. That was a smart play by Mikal, but Mikal came and helped. He wasn't the counter for that. It was Mitchell Robinson.
All right, ready? Horford, first time. Coming at Horford, sets the screen right I'm going to tell you because you don't have the clip in front of you, do you?
Let me go mute.
Everybody look it up right now.
I didn't think so. So Horford, his feet on the screen are right at the walking stick of Lucky, right? Tatum comes off. Mitchell Robinson picks it up at the R&D of TD Garden, well above the 3-point line. If I look at the rest of the floor, what's his name? Number 2, your McBride. He's watching, his eyes and his body are turned to watch Derek White. Josh Hart, he's hugging Drew Holiday. OG's getting a screen. Comes off, Tatum, little crossover. Now he's at the 3-point line. Mikal Bridges is boxes and elbows, right where the PS5 sign is. Same thing with Josh Hart. McBride is not involved. Blow by, Tatum picks up his dribble before the first dotted line. There is still not a nick in the paint. They are still both hugging the boxes, and Tatum goes and dunks with no one in front of him, right? No one comes off their corner guy.
Time and score is important in that play too.
I understand. But mind you, it's still a last possession because even though they went early, there was no shot clock. So you're still talking about potentially a game-ending situation. But they let him score to give themselves.
Not really.
Hold on. They let him score to give themselves the last shot because they understand that his 2 is only going to put them up by 1. I understand where you're going with that, and I acknowledged it. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. We all know what Jalen Brunson does. He gets fouled going downhill because that's what the best player on a playoff team does in a late game scenario. They get to go downhill. Okay, coming again. Tatum gets to half court. OG sinks. So forget what you're talking about, Mitchell Robinson. OG sinks. Okay, OG sinks and doesn't pick up the ball. That means Al Horford now sets it at the front of the logo. Mitchell Robinson hugs the screen. They're basically both hugging Horford. Jalen Brunson, body is turned towards Tatum, not looking at Drew Holiday. Josh Hart, he's following and bumping Derek White as he goes through. Mikal Bridges has already turned his body and is beginning to leave Jaylen Brown before Jason Tatum even crosses half court. Jaylen Brown is on his way to the corner. Mikal Bridges has already turned his body to begin entering a back pedal. Fast forward a little bit more. They meet him. Jason Tatum, if he wanted to, could have pulled this 3. He decides, no, I want to try to get downhill because that's what I'm supposed to do. Josh Hart, wait, let me finish. Josh Hart has now concluded his bump of Derek White. His body is now fully turned towards Tatum. Jalen Brunson, he's squared up with Drew Holiday because he's strong side a little bit, but his eyes are still on Tatum. So you got 4 eyes and 3 bodies angled towards Tatum, completely leaving everyone else. Tatum hezzies. He thinks about it. He decides, okay, Mitchell Robinson foot speed can't stick with me. I'm going to blow by then. Derek White makes an unbelievably stupid decision to cut through the lane at this point, completely messing up the play because he probably thinks Tatum is going to shoot a 3. So he's getting ready to box out. Right? Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown do what they're supposed to do. They go to the corners like they did last time. Derek White is the one that blows up this play. There is no reason why Derek White is cutting through the paint at this point. He should be exactly where he was the last time at TD Garden, making Josh Hart decide whether he's going to step in or stay home. He cuts because he thinks Jason Tatum is going to shoot a three because that's how they play. Press play. He goes through Hezzy's. Tatum tries to go by Robinson. As he takes his step, he sees OG leaving Horford to come double. Josh Hart, huge difference, is in the middle of the circle now. He's in the middle of the circle. Mikal Bridges' eyes is locked onto him. So when he sees that, he tries to cross over again because he knows he's going to go into a hole of 4 defenders if he goes right.
Time and score.
He crosses over left, tries to blow by left, sees that OG's right there. He could take a step back, but he's like, listen, maybe I should try to get to the basket. So he gathers his dribble, tries to turn the corner again to think maybe OG doesn't have enough time. Maybe Horford should do a Gortat screen on OG if he's going to stand in the paint, even though the play is for him to get to the rim. Let's go back to Horford roll. When Horford set that screen, what is Horford doing? He does that, and he pushes, and he goes straight down the middle. Straight down the middle. So now you got 2 players in the paint.
So there's nowhere for him to go.
It's supposed to be a play for Jason Tatum to get to the rim. There's 2 players in the paint.
Ain't no getting to the rim on Mr. Robinson now.
It's easy to say that when you have 3 players in the paint. He has help behind him. When there was no one in the paint, Jason Tatum blew by him in 1 dribble. So he goes right, 3 defenders because Derek White is there. He crosses over left, 3 defenders because Al Horford is there, and Al Horford is not setting a Gortat screen. So he gets it. He tries to get to the block. He makes contact with OG. He takes a step back thinking maybe I could get a shot off, but Mikal has already left, and Mitch Robinson is following. He goes up, 3 defenders, 2 right on him. And yes, with 3 seconds left, that's not enough time. If he gets if he gets that pass off, Jaylen Brown has at least 2.5 seconds.
You said that's not enough time. That's
3.2 seconds is plenty of
time for him to make a shot.
And then once again, you can say based on the play design, Jason Tatum did what he needed to do. He got downhill and drew 4. But guess what? Because Jaylen Brown is not a spot-up shooter, Mikal can come off and double it, and it's a turnover.
Correct. Here's the thing. If Derek White was where Jaylen Brown was, the play doesn't work.
Still leaving him.
No, you're leaving Derek White?
No, you're not.
Are you
Mikal left
you're not.
because he knew that he was going to be forced at that point in time.
I don't think so.
Listen, let's be real. These are human beings, Farrell, right? That we're talking about. The way you broke it down was like, I'm not saying it's incorrect, but it's not realistic because you want them. You want them to make decisions that are like less than a split second. But
they're professional basketball players. This is what they do for a living. Stop.
Right.
Stop.
No, but they're human beings, man. When there's 2.5 seconds and you got the ball in your hands, right? You don't want to even stop your dribble.
But you just lied. You just lied. It was never 2.5 seconds. I just told you when the ball was leaving Jason Tatum's hands for a pass, there was 3.2 seconds left. So already you're gassing it to try to make it more dire of a situation. It was not. What it was is the Knicks played good reads. 2 Celtics messed up the play. Derek White blew up the play by cutting, which we could surmise he did because he's assuming Jason Tatum's going to shoot a 3, even though the exact play they ran before was for him to get a dunk. Derek White was the first mistake that blew up this play. He cut and brought Josh Hart into the middle of the lane. That's mistake 1. Second mistake, Al Horford. He tried to get the screen because it didn't work as well. He kept trying to set the screen, and he backed down all the way to the foul line and then went straight down the middle of the paint instead of clearing out, which allowed OG and Mitch to both be right there, and no one had to pick one of them to guard. So like I said, he went right. Derek White messed it up. He tried to cross back left. Al Horford messed it up. So he gets an extra dribble, and he tries to turn around. Horford should have set a Gortat screen to allow him to curl around OG. He didn't do that. He just stood there. One of the things I hate most about
you talking about a Gortat screen. Like listen. At this point,
games like that before. I've seen Jason Tatum get a game-winning layup off Al Horford setting a Gortat screen. You're acting like I'm saying crazy things. We're talking about professional basketball.
No. Was that the play or was that an adjustment that they made at that point? That's what I'm trying to tell you. You want them to adjust. That's too extreme of an adjustment to make with that amount of time.
I'm not talking about adjustments. I'm talking about people blew up the play. I'm naming two players that made a mistake on the play before Jason Tatum even had an opportunity.
When you are the guy on the team and a play is blown up, you're not thinking, oh, let me call for another screen. Let me try and get a board. You're thinking, let me get my open look. That's what Tatum tried to do.
And he tried to get down. Out. And he didn't spaz out. He tried to get down.
That was a bad pass. Mikal knew if the position, Mikal was in the passing lane. It wasn't that. It was because it was Jaylen Brown. But he was in the he knew if he was going to pass this ball, he would have to throw the ball high. He would have to try and do a crazy ball. It was going to be ugly if he tried to pass the ball.
It doesn't matter if it was what we're saying is he wouldn't have even had to. There's three things that happened that would have, if they went right, that had nothing to do with him.
Your original point was about Jaylen Brown.
Stop cutting me off, bro. Listen, I broke down the whole play. I pointed out three mistakes that three other players made. Okay. What me and Andre are saying is if those three players didn't make those mistakes, he wouldn't have even had to pass that ball. He would have got downhill like it was the intention. So I said let's break it down. If the play before, our point is majorly is that Jason Tatum as the downhill player would have been effective. It worked the play before because certain things happened. You're saying, but it didn't work that play. I'm pointing out there are several things outside of Tatum that went wrong that prevented him from getting downhill that had nothing to do with the Knicks. Two Celtics players messed up that play, and it allowed the Knicks to.
Should he have shot the ball?
He could. I mean, it was a lose-lose situation. Take a fadeaway over two guys, or try to hit your non-shooter best player partner. Either or. It's an either or lose-lose. But you're not analyzing the whole play.
This is what I'm trying to say. Like,
so wait.
So we don't just about analysis and X's and O's, Pharaoh.
So we don't. Yes, it is. We're talking about professional basketball. So we don't hold Derek White accountable.
Everything is not about that. The whole reason why the Knicks are so great is because of their intangibles. Tatum didn't want to shoot the ball because he got bothered by Mitchell Robinson. And I get it. Yes, the way the play was set up, Mitchell Robinson and OG were able to play that type of defense because you said the other two guys messed up the play.
Blew up the play. They blew up the whole play.
You still got to shoot that ball. Don't look for nobody else to pass you. That's on LeBron James, right?
But that's so reductive. That's so reductive of what happened, bro. And also our point, we brought the play.
He's letting him down anyway.
You forgot we brought the play, but we didn't bring up the play to discuss whether Tatum was soft for not shooting or not. We brought the play because we were talking about Tatum's success getting downhill. And you said it wouldn't have been successful. And we pointed out the play before that play, it was successful. And then you said, but it wasn't the next time. And I'm saying the reason why wasn't because of the Knicks.
Your original point was
no, that's not our original point.
You said he left Jaylen Brown because you took that risk. You said that. You did say that. Comment. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I think there's a distinction, or maybe there's a distinction where we agree, because I actually do think it's because of the Knicks reading the defense correctly or reading the offense.
Of course, but it wasn't that they made an adjustment that prevented Tatum from getting downhill. The Celtics team blew up the play.
Right. And
Derek White's cut. The minute Derek White cut through the middle of the paint, that play was over. It was never going to work.
That's why I'm saying.
It was never going to work.
Did the Celtics have a timeout? That's an important question.
Yes, they had a timeout.
Then Joe Mazzulla made a mistake. This is Joe Mazzulla's fault.
Because you call a timeout there and you remount Derek White. What are you doing?
Right. You get everybody in the right positions.
What the hell?
I don't know that happens again.
Why would you cut through the middle of the paint on a play where Tatum just got to dunk straight down the lane?
And we got 30 seconds.
But you know what I'm expanding it to? I know why Derek White cut. Because he's believing, because of the way the team is structured and the way they play, he believes Tatum is coming down to shoot a three.
Right.
Regardless of what the play we just ran was. We just ran this play, and Tatum got a dunk. And Derek White's mind, he's shooting a three. And he cuts to box out.
Yep.
That's also why Horford keeps the screen going, because he thinks Tatum's going to duck behind this screen. I just got to hold OG off.
And
if I hold OG off
right here.
Exactly. And that's why we're saying the whole structure and the play style, it doesn't make sense. Tatum just had success playing the way he used to play. Downhill, got a dunk. He comes down, the same exact play is called, but two of his teammates are stuck in the Joe Mazzulla 3 Chuck mentality. Let me go cut to box out. Let me set this screen for as long as possible, because he's probably going to shoot this three. That's what we're saying. It's not just Tatum. The whole way they play is wrong. Because the fact that they are
I agree with that, still.
Yeah. And let me throw in another wrinkle in there. Let me throw in another wrinkle in there. And this is where Celtics really need to assess themselves. They won a championship playing the way they did. That's fair. They won that championship with the third best player on the Bucks being injured, like
Correct.
5 of the Knicks being injured.
Correct.
And the Pacers just not being ready. It
Correct.
was not necessarily the success of Joe Mazzulla's plan. It was the luck of the competition. So
I'm agreeing with that. To Paul's point earlier, I'm agree. We're seeing now that the way they play is flawed. It's severely flawed, and the microcosm of it is the way Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum play. And Jaylen Brown gets to escape because the way the offense, his role in it, serves him to be productive, but honestly, it's not effective because he's not efficient, and it doesn't set other players up to be successful.
I just watched the play again, and I think you're not giving the Knicks enough credit here, right? Now, number one,
makes a lot of credit. I literally just stopped to go
I know you're
back
not trying to, but that's what you're doing. You know why I say that? You know why I say that?
Credit.
All right, you don't want to hear it. Let's go. Go ahead.
No. What are you gonna say? Because I guarantee it's what I just said.
No, I'm not talking about you, Audrey. I'm talking about Farrell. Farrell's not giving the Knicks enough credit. Listen, I just watched.
Even though me and him are saying the exact same thing, but okay.
First of all, right? Derek White went to the same spot that he was at the last time.
No, you're lying. You're lying.
Jrue Holiday wasn't at the spot that he was at last time.
Explain.
Jrue Holiday.
So Derek White didn't cut. Derek White didn't cut.
What happened?
Derek White never stopped moving. So you saying
Derek White went to the spot that he was at the first time they ran that play. Simply put, that's a fact.
No,
Jrue Holiday wasn't.
No. Yeah, I can't jack that
Derek
because
White was on the right side of the court. Jrue Holiday was on the left side of the court. Jrue Holiday the second time was on the right side. Derek White went to that spot. That's the first thing. The second thing, right?
You're the one.
The second thing.
No, I can't let you get that off because that's bull. That's BS. You're the one that was saying time to score the whole time, right? If there's 12 seconds left, if us two switch positions, but there's 12 seconds left, does it make sense for me to cut through the middle for us to switch to get to the right spots with 12 seconds left? Or should I hold? Should I hold my spot and let me be this side and Drew be that side?
That's fair, but at the same time,
no, it's not just fair. It explains the whole play. That mental mistake.
That's not why
the whole play.
That's not why it got blown up. It got blown up because this man Al Horford set the screen late. He set the screen lower on the court. Number one. Number two.
But wait, that's because OG didn't pick a ball. Wait, no. But we gotta engage with these points one by one. Okay. I like what you're doing because I did it one by one. I acknowledge the reason Al Horford set it lower is because OG didn't pick up ball, which was a smart adjustment by the Knicks. I said that when I was going through. The Knicks made a smart adjustment, and they said, don't pick up the ball in the backcourt. That way Horford can't screen you early. OG sat behind the screen and let Tatum bring the ball up.
Yes.
And that led to Horford, who I said also made the other mistake. He kept trying to set the screen lower and lower, even though OG was ducking behind it. And then that ended up.
What rather him do?
Get out of there.
Let it be a one-on-one ISO for Tatum, who hasn't done well in the ISO system.
Hold on, because at a certain point when OG ducks, I'm gonna tell it to you right now. Look, I'm gonna go to the exact moment. Hold on. I'm pointing to you right now. I'm gonna give you the timestamp if you haven't pulled up. It's coming down. Hold on, it's coming down. He got it, but he didn't let it go. Okay, 10.4. He's got both of them body contact. His hands are on OG. Right? Well above the 3-point line. This might have been a little early to do it, but if I'm coach, I'm telling Horford, you have your hands on OG right now. You take OG and push him out. Robinson is already preparing to step up on it. At 10.4, when Tatum's about to step on the logo. Halford is setting the screen for Tatum to go right. He's got two hands on OG, and Mitchell Robinson has his arm around his back and is getting ready to step up.
Yeah.
Instead of holding the screen, you take OG and you push him out. Because worst case, if OG swims you, Mitchell Robinson, once OG start getting pushed, is going to step up. That's a double. Tatum has a pass right through to you in the middle of the paint.
They're not doubling Tatum.
Right, which means if you push OG out,
they will not double Tatum.
Right, which means if you push OG out, Tatum gets a one-on-one with Robinson. And
it won't work
hold
out.
on. He could have did that then. He could have did that at 9.1. At 9.1, OG is literally hiding behind Horford.
What you're not. This is why I say you're not giving credit to the Knicks, though, right? At 6.4, it is an ISO with Mitchell Robinson.
No, it's not. Because
it's literally,
watch at 6.7. Look at Horford's body. He's got Robinson. You're right. He's got Robinson on him. You know why it's not an ISO? I'm gonna tell you why it's not an ISO. An ISO means something. An ISO doesn't just mean you're being guarded by one person. An ISO means that you get an area of the floor isolated to yourself. That didn't happen at any point in this possession. Even though Rich Robinson is the only one guarding Tatum in terms of on the ball. Again, Horford, I'm looking at 6.7. Horford, he still has contact with OG. There's a wide open wing right at the top of the screen, right? Horford, you push OG that way. You push OG that way. That would contribute to isolation. The other reason why it's not isolation, look where Josh Hart is. 2 feet in the middle of the paint. Why? Because Derek White is inexplicably in the dunker. What are you doing in the dunker?
So, wait, are you saying that Tatum did not have enough room to work? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yes.
I disagree with that.
I disagree.
I'm not talking about mixing. I'm talking about somewhere to go. Either direction, there is a defender. Either direction, there is a defender there. That's the definition of
Tatum
not being
don't want a mid range. Tatum don't want to put up in a mid range. He drives. Mitchell Robinson is right there playing good D. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, that's not an excuse for Tatum to not be more productive in this. Now that I'm watching it, Tatum should have even more responsibility and more blame. Tatum doesn't want to put up in a mid range. Tatum doesn't want to look. He's driving. He looks aimless. He has room to work. He messed up his dribble. Hold on. He messed up his dribble, which allowed Mitchell Robinson to even recover more. And then now he's pushing into the left.
Okay, Paul, right? Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Wait, can I ask you a question?
Hold on. Now when you're saying about Al Horford diving, real quick. Now when you're saying about Al Horford rolling to the paint, now OG could help more. So you're right about that. And now, because there's 3.8 seconds left, Mikhail says, all right, I'm going to get...
Don't ignore that the play was for him to go right. Look at how he couldn't go right on the initial drive. Look at the help. Look at where the players are and why he couldn't go right. Because him not being able to go right is what caused him to have to cross left, which led to him losing his dribble. And then when he goes left, what you just acknowledged, because of Horford, OG was there. But skip the first part. Don't skip the first part. He was supposed to go right. Acknowledge why he couldn't.
Forced him left.
No, he didn't.
Listen, now you're arguing with everybody in New York City because I'm not the only one that said that. I'm not. I heard the MSG post game talk about that. I heard other platforms on YouTube talk about. I'm looking at the play right now. He tried to go right, and Mitchell Robinson said, "Nah, you're not going there."
Josh Hart being in the middle of the paint is the reason why Jason Tatum couldn't go right.
Mitchell Robinson cut off that side.
Josh Hart being in the middle of the paint. When all right, maybe you don't know this, but when you're a scorer, you know what they tell you to look at?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Come on.
Let him talk.
When you're a scorer and a hooper at a high level, when you are looking to attack, what do you look at? Do you look at what your defender is doing?
No, you look at what the help defender.
You look at what the help is doing. So yeah, Mitchell Robinson gets to take credit because in reality, he was there. Stop. I'm not saying he played bad defense. I'm just being real.
I know you're not.
He played good defense, and he gets to get the kudos for the fact that Tatum went left. But I think you're taking credit away from Josh Hart because Josh Hart could have hugged Derek White at the dunker, which would have been stupid. And then there could have been a blow by, and they would have been like, "Why the hell was Josh Hart hugging Derek White in the dunker?" Give credit to Josh Hart. Josh Hart read the play blow up and made the amazing decision to stand his 2 feet right in front of the basket. Tatum, as a scorer, he's not looking at Mitch Robinson. He's looking at help. When he sees Josh Hart standing in the middle of the basket, that's why he decided to go right.
Derek White is in the dunker instead of the corner because Drew Holiday moved down when he should have stayed at the wing. Number one.
Don't bail Derek White.
Derek White was going directly to the corner.
And that was wrong. That was wrong. It was wrong.
I hear you on that. You could say it's wrong, but
it was.
But hold on. Mitchell Robinson, if he did not force him left because he tried to go right and Mitchell's there, if he didn't allow him to do that, what would have happened was he would have either gotten an open mid-range or he would have drove. Josh Hart would have had to play. Wait. Josh Hart would have had to help. Derek White would have been open. Derek White would have been open.
In the dunker?
He would have faded to the corner at that point. He would have been open. Josh Hart would have had to roll over.
I actually agree with Paul on that point. He would have.
But all he's doing is pointing out another way that the Celtics messed up the play. Because I'm saying
Robinson is the key.
What?
Mitchell Robinson did not force him to go where he wanted to go.
Time out. Paul, stop doing that. No one's saying you're not nice. You keep trying to twist it to give yourself more credit. We can acknowledge the Celtics messed up. That doesn't take anything away from the Knicks. We can acknowledge the Celtics messed up. It's so ridiculous. In your scenario, you put blame on Drew Holiday for not sliding up. But I would challenge that.
It don't matter more than Mitchell Robinson forced him left, though. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead. I'm on mute.
You ain't gotta mute yourself.
Even in your scenario, here's the thing. Even in your scenario, you're pointing out a Celtic making a mistake, but I would even challenge that scenario because based on the way Tatum's coming down, Drew Holiday knows the play. Drew Holiday knows that Tatum's trying to get right. Drew Holiday should stay corner. If you're on the right side and the player is trying to get right, you never slide up. If you slide up, you're bringing your man right into the gap. So Drew Holiday was respecting the fact that Tatum was going right. So I, again, am putting it at the feet of Derek White. Derek White, even if you are on the wrong sides of the court to start the play, with 12 seconds left, you got to know Tatum is going right. If Tatum is going right, there's no world where I cut through the middle of the paint, especially if it's for your reason, just to get to the other side, to switch sides, because me and Drew Holiday on the wrong side, we both shoot. It don't matter who's on what side. If Tatum is going right, if the play is for Tatum to go right, you never cut across the middle. Drew Holiday knew that. Drew Holiday probably also realized they were on the wrong side, but he said, I'm reading the play. Tatum's going right. I'm sticking my ass in this corner. Derek White is cut through the middle of the plate. When they watch film today and yesterday, I'm telling you, Derek White's cut is the fatal blow of that play. It is. No. It is. Everything the Knicks did after hold on. Everything the Knicks did after that was perfect defense. Let me say that so that I can stop you from trying to turn this into I'm not giving the Knicks credit. Everything the Knicks did after that was completely right. They played it perfectly. It was great defense. But the play was blown up by Derek White's cut.
Not Mr. Robinson.
No, because Derek White started cutting before Tatum even crossed half court.
Mitchell Robinson can't even see behind him. He can't see behind him. He don't got eyes on the back of his head. Mitchell Robinson is like, yo, I'm not letting you go right.
What does that have to do with anything?
That has everything because Mitchell Robinson didn't even let him go right. So everything you're saying about the play being blown up, it doesn't matter because Mitchell Robinson didn't even allow him to go there in the first place anyway.
Well, to Pharaoh's point, if he did allow him to go there, Derek White would still be in the way.
I agree.
No. Hold on. Watch this. Remember how I said Derek White started cutting before the play?
Right.
I want to see at what point Jason Tatum actually took an aggressive dribble to try to blow by Mitchell Robinson.
He couldn't.
Wait. Look. He's now about to exit the logo. At that point that he's about to exit the logo, if he's looking, Derek White is at the free throw line already. He's already cutting through. If Derek White is stopped at the 3-point line, I'm jacking that at 9.5, Tatum would have took his aggressive dribble. Derek White is halfway through his cut, so Jason Tatum waits. 9.2 waits. He does the behind the dribble. He does this behind the dribble size up. Why is he doing that? To give Derek White time to clear it. If Derek White never cuts
at 9.5, he would have taken his aggressive dribble?
100%. Look at the play before. Look at the play before. The play before where he got it, look at where he takes his aggressive dribble.
Look at where the screen is.
Wait, I understand that. But look. I understand the screen is higher. But you know what's funny? At 20.5, listen. At 20.5 and at 9.5, Jason Tatum has the ball at the exact same place on the court. So regardless of where the screen is set, at 20.5 in the play before and at 9.5, Tatum has the ball at the same exact
Different
point
momentum.
on the court. I understand that, but still, the fact that Derek White is behind Tatum and there's no one in the paint at that same
Is
spot.
irrelevant.
If you believe that, then we just look.
First of all, I didn't even talk about the fact.
I'm gonna stop.
Andre,
I'm gonna stop.
listen to
I'm
this.
gonna stop.
Andre, listen to
If
this.
you believe it's irrelevant,
You
then
don't want to talk about the fact that Karl Anthony Towns was guarding the last play. He never brought it up.
What? Say it
Karl
again?
Anthony Towns was guarding the first pick and roll where he drove to the basket.
No, he wasn't. This is
No, he
Mitchell
wasn't.
Robinson. What the
Mitchell
fuck are you
Robinson
talking
was
about? See how you just lie? You see
What
how
are you
you just
talking about?
lie? That's why I can't take anything you saying right now serious, because you just don't make up shit now.
Hold on. What am I watching right now?
Exactly, bro. So stop it, bro. He's not even looking at the right play.
Oh,
He's
my
not
fault.
even
You're
looking
right.
at the
You're
right
That's my
play,
fault.
bro.
That's my fault.
That
That's
was
my
crazy.
fault.
That was
At
crazy.
20 That was Dre. Tell him as a fellow Knicks fan, keep like
That was
get him together, because that's
what's
crazy.
going on?
No,
He just tried to invent a new play.
Look,
That's my fault. That's my
look,
fault.
I think we're beating this.
Okay,
Beating
so
this to
I
the ground.
agree. My final point is at 20.5 and at 9.5 in the two possessions, Tatum has the ball at the same exact spot on the floor.
It doesn't matter. Different momentum towards the basket.
I'm not listen at this point. I'm not arguing with you anymore. I'm getting this takeout for our audience who wants to hear good basketball take. I'm done trying to convince you. This is just so the audience can hear it. Actual good breakdown. At 20.5 and at 9.5, Tatum has the ball at the same exact spot on the floor.
Ignore convenient context.
You want to keep. I'm gonna let you go because I'm not trying to argue with you. So stop cutting me off. At 20.5 and at 9.5, Tatum has the ball at the same spot on the court. There's a person in both corners at 20.5. The difference between the 20.5 and 9.5, Derek White. And you know what? Now I'm even coming at you more because you're wrong. Derek White and Drew Holiday weren't in the wrong spots because Derek White was coming down the same side of the court in this play. It was Brown and Drew Holiday who switched. So your whole argument that White was cutting because he was in the wrong spot and Drew Holiday was in the wrong spot is categorically false. In this play at 20.5, Derek White is on the left side. But what does he do? He gets to the three-point line and he stops. Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown switch, which makes sense because if Jaylen Tatum is going right, you want to have the shooter strong side. So that actually probably was an intentional switch. They said, you know what? Put Jaylen Brown on the weak side. Let's have Drew Holiday strong side as a shooter.
You said intentional switch? Who said that? You? Okay.
Let me land because I'm done arguing. Let me land because I'm done arguing with you. I'm just bringing up that one of your points that you made. You're not revealing to me another thing with how I feel it was wrong, but I'm not going back and forth with you. Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown switched. If you know basketball, I am going to say that was intentional switch because, again, the play is for Tatum to go right. If he has him going right, you want a shooter strong side. So the fact that they had Jaylen Brown go left side corner on weak side and put Drew Holiday on strong side right corner actually makes perfect sense. Derek White's role never changed. Derek White in the prior play was coming down the left wing and stopped at the three. That is the same exact thing that happened in the next play. For some reason, on that next one, he decided to not stop at the three and cut through. And that resulted in Tatum, when he had the ball at the same exact spot, when it was 20.5, Derek White was trailing the play, and he decided at that spot to make his aggressive move going right, and he blew by him. At 9.5, by 9.5, Derek White was already at the foul line when Tatum had the ball at the same exact spot on the court. When he was just about to exit the logo at 9.5, instead of trailing the play like before, Derek White has inexplicably found himself at the foul line. At that moment, instead of taking an aggressive dribble right, what does Tatum do? He crosses left for a size up to try to give time for Derek White to get the hell out of there, and then he tries to go right, and to your point, Mitchell Robinson makes a great slide, and then I've broken down the rest of the play. I'm not arguing with you anymore. The audience, they can hear that analysis that I just broke down and take it for what it is. Paul, if you want to get your stuff off one more time and give the Knicks credit just because you want to do that and that's all you want to do in this podcast instead of actually breaking down basketball, be my guest. But I'd like Andre to go first.
I really don't know what else I have to say to this.